we rarely start an hour with an offseason examination, but I think the Eagles require a little extra time.
Right.
This is a tough team to figure out, right? They won the Super Bowl and shocked everyone with Nick Foles at quarterback. Then last year, they were sluggish, they were bad, they were overlooked, they were
lost
forgotten,
some games they had no business losing.
Caught fire.
Yeah.
And they gave the Saints everything they could handle in the divisional round.
Yep.
And now we just we're kind of like numb to the Eagles again. I don't know but I feel like there's this sense that, when we list the potentially great teams for 2019, a lot of people aren't considering that the Eagles have every reason to believe that they're going to be one of the great teams. And I think the hesitation comes from the chronic injury issues that have been experienced by Carson Wentz.
I think you're exactly right. Right there, everybody just kind of sweeps them under the rug because they go, oh, well, we don't know about him yet, so they're not like truly on our Super Bowl radar. They should be, at least in my opinion. Hey, two things right off the bat with the Philadelphia Eagles. First of all, Doug Peterson's a hell of a coach. He's extremely aggressive, so on a weekly basis, he's consistent about putting pressure on teams. Jim Schwartz, the defensive coordinator, he's kind of the same way. So, from the coaching standpoint, they pressure you right off the bat. Then you get into the talent and the team that Howie Roseman built, and you start to go, damn, gosh, this team has got it all, really. There's only one area on the team that I look at that I go, ooh, this maybe not quite up to par, and that's the linebacker position. But everything else, I always start with up front, and I go, gosh, getting a guy like Andre Dillard in the first round, tackle out of Washington State, who's a phenomenal football player, for me was in the conversation as being one of the best O-linemen in the draft. He could play tackle, might be able to play guard right away this year, but as you know, Mike, we all know who follow football, the games are won up front, and the Eagles still got a lot of big, bad dudes on both sides of the ball. Added to the fact, you add a guy like Malik Jackson to replace a Michael Bennett, which I thought was really good. Michael Bennett's getting up there in years. Malik Jackson's still kind of more in the prime of his career. And the other thing is Deshaun Jackson. One of the issues they had last year was somebody that could stretch the defense down the field. Getting a guy like Deshaun Jackson will only help out people like Alshon Jeffrey and the rest of the receivers who start some of the underneath and intermediate routes that Zach Ertz runs and everybody else.
I have a lot of faith in what the Eagles have put together by way of an organization with Howie Roseman acquiring the talent, Doug Peterson. But remember what a surprise he was as a coaching hire, and there were some people who said he'll be horrible, he'll be the first one to be fired. The Eagles don't make those changes lightly. And after Chip Kelly, emotional intelligence was the buzzword for the Eagles. And they found a guy who I think is very good at connecting with his players. And they're very good at identifying their weaknesses and addressing them. I still think what's hovering over the team is this question of how long Carson Wentz can stay healthy. Will he be any different? When will he even be ready to go? Remember, we had Doug Peterson earlier this week, some sound from him
not committing,
expressing some hesitation about the possibility that Wentz would be ready for OTAs when we just all assumed he'd be fine and good to go. But that's a real issue. I like the return of Deshaun Jackson.
Yep.
I'd love to see LaShawn McCoy come back at some point. Get
They're
the band back together.
Guys.
And this is a team that, if I'm an Eagles fan, I kind of, I like where they're viewed right now because you're not the team that everyone's talking about, so the bar isn't unreasonably high. And you also can get a little chip on your shoulder that, hey, man, nobody's noticing that we won the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and last year we had a damn good shot at getting back.
They're driving the game-winning score. The ball went through Alshon Jeffrey's hands. I believe he was running the route. He was on the 20-yard line when the ball went through both of his hands and popped in the air, an interception.
And remember, I called.
You did.
I was ultimately wrong,
but
I went out on a limb and said the Eagles were going to beat the Saints.
No, you did, and they had a lot of opportunities. That game really, was going the Eagles' way, and then Sean Payton had the guts to call the fake punt, right? And that changed everything. That was the changing of the game right there. They went on a long drive, got a field goal that kind of changed the whole dynamic from there on out. But the Eagles are fearless. They're battle-tested. They have true belief. You're right. The Carson Wentz situation is certainly the biggest question. Hey, Brandon Brooks, they lost him in that Saints playoff game. He's one of the best guards in football. He tore his Achilles tendon, I believe. That's going to be a shame because he's not going to be ready to go or at least 100% to start the year. But even, we question, what are they going to do at running back? Oh, you know what they do? That Howie Roseman, again, one of the GMs in football that I would say, again, that is playing chess while the rest of everybody else is playing checkers. They make a move to get Jordan Howard. Then they draft a Miles Sander out of Penn State, who I'm sure they knew really well because they're in the state of Pennsylvania along with him. And I like both of those additions. Running back needed to be upgraded. I thought those were smart moves as well.
Well, especially because I think last year and you've made this point time and again as it relates to Carson Wentz, they get away from their offensive scheme and their preferred strategy because they get so enamored by what Wentz can do.
Yeah.
And if you can't run the ball, the whole RPO, the big fad from 2 years ago, you can't pull off the P if the R isn't there. You've got to have a legitimate run threat, or they will just sit back and wait for you to throw the ball. You've got to scare them with what your running backs are going to do, and last year they were not able to scare anybody with what their running backs could do.
No, they could not find that formula of, we're going to dominate the line of scrimmage like we did the year before and force your hand that way, then to open up the pass game. They did not get that going last year. You know, hey, some of the magic that they had from the 2017 Super Bowl year, you know, between being able to run the football, losing some games late in moments where we just went, wow, you know, that never happened the year before, you know, blew some opportunities, you know, on the road to the Tennessee Titans, right? Get blown out in New Orleans. There were just a few things that went on through the year where we just went, ooh, wait, I thought this team was good. And then you scratched your head and went, what the hell is going on? And by the time they got healthy and now all of a sudden Carson Wentz gets knocked out, Nick Foles takes over, they got healthy at the right time to make that run and make the push for the NFC playoffs.
When you look at their draft picks, there's the glaring omission of a third rounder because of the Golden Tate trade.
Right.
And, you know, we've praised the organization, but that was a big miss.
Yeah, I
because
agree.
he ultimately didn't do anything for that team relative, even close to what a third-round pick would justify. And they could have done a lot of things with that third-round pick this year, and it's just gone for their half season with Golden Tate that never became anything close to what they needed.
And you know, but yeah, it did not work out. The experiment was not good. I'll be the first one to tell you too. I thought it was a good move at the time. So
I did too.
Yeah, I mean, I really did. But as I started to watch, I went, ooh, like Golden Tate's definitely lost a step. He's not as explosive as he once was, and yeah, he couldn't quite find his little niche in that Eagles offense. And yeah, they lose a third-round pick, and that stinks certainly. I was also shocked that the Giants paid Golden Tate so much money on the free agent market. But you know, when all said and done, you think the Eagles are a playoff football team?
I think they're the division champs.
You think they're the division champs? You think they're going to be like number 1, number 2 seed type of thing?
I think that's the kind of they're going to have if Carson Wentz can stay healthy.
Yeah.
But you know, I said this yesterday. If I'm an Eagles fan, I am very nervous about it every week. I'm going to exhale deeply after every game where Carson Wentz is able to walk off the field and isn't injured in some way. And I'm going to get more and more nervous as the season goes on because we have seen it 2 years in a row now in December. All of a sudden, you got the torn ACL, done. Last year, the back problems, done.
Yeah.
And this year, who do you have faith in?
No, that's
Nick Foles is gone.
Go there
Nate
yet.
Sudfeld?
No.
Thurston Howell? Who's going to come in and play?
Yeah, no. Thurston Howell, you're funny. Yeah, no, you're right. They just made a move, and got Cody Kessler, right? So
okay, that'll fix it.
No, none of it. No, I'm just saying that's obviously they're a little concerned about that aspect too. I hear you there, and I think that's a legitimate question. Carson Wentz has to chill out. You know, again, he just got to chill out. You can't fight for every foot on the football field all the time. It's okay sometimes to just go down and take the sack. You don't have to stand in the middle of the mosh pit and break 7 tackles to get a 2-yard gain. It's just not worth it as the starting quarterback of a franchise at times. It's more important for you to be on the field, and I'm hoping that he's learned some of these lessons.
I think that the decision to sign Cody Kessler and to waive A.J. Perez, the AAF phenom, who I believe played for the Birmingham Iron, the short-lived AAF.
Yeah.
I think that is an implicit acknowledgement by the Eagles that Carson Wentz isn't going to be ready for OTAs because they wanted to upgrade who would be there to distribute the football and run the offense. They don't want to do the let's just roll the dice on a project guy.
Right.
We got to bring in somebody who's got real NFL experience who can carry the load because it's Sudfeld and it's Kessler, and we're dealing with the rookie Clayton Thorson, a.k.a. Thurston Howell.
Right.
And I think that's our indication that we're not going to see Wentz in OTAs.
Yeah.
I think that is enough for me to say. Combine that with what Peterson said yesterday, we're not seeing it.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll go that far, but certainly it at least shows me that there's worry, or maybe they want to they got him on a rep count, or they're gonna limit some of the periods of practice that he's allowed to partake in. But again, I just look at this Philadelphia Eagle team. I think they are a Super Bowl caliber football team. I really do. Their offense, their defensive line. We forgot about the injuries that kind of rolled up on this team last year. Whether it was, Darren Sproles or Ronald Darby, and, you just go kind of through all the positions. Jason Peters was in and out of the lineup. They had a lot of issues across the board. Derek Barnett, their first-round pick from 2 years ago, he was hurt. So I think at full strength, and if they can stay healthy, this is still one of the better rosters in football and one of the more physical rosters in football.
Derek Barnett made the play that put him in the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
Sneaky. I mean, it was the
to win the Super
sack.
Bowl.
No, to put him in it. No, it was Brandon Graham in the Super Bowl.
You're
put
right.
him in. It was 14-7. Vikings were driving, and he blasts past a tight end and rips the ball out of Case Keenum, and next thing you know, it's 21-7, and that's it.
Right.
All right. Projected win total.
Yeah.
According to the folks in Vegas, 9.5 for the Philadelphia Eagles. Are you over or under?
I'm going to go over.
I'm over.
Yeah, I'm going to go over too. I think the
Would
Eagles
you go over at 10.5?
Probably not. I don't think I'd bet money. I do want to say they're like a 10-6 and 11-5 football team, but I think if you had to go, oh, Chris, you got to bet $1,000 on this, 10.5, I would go, no, I'll go under there. I'm going to say 10-6 team.
I think 11-5.
The Cowboys are going to be good in this division, so they're going to have to deal with that. I just look at the NFC East.
Every time we think the Cowboys are going to be – I know this is some high-level analytics, next-gen stuff. Every time we think they're going to be good, they're not.
I hear you. I know, but, I don't know. I just feel like I have a hard time thinking that roster that they have is not going to challenge the Eagles to the East. I look at the Cowboys a lot like I look at the Eagles and go, damn, I don't see a lot of weak spots on this roster to have any concern in any one area.
There's a way the Cowboys can handle the contractual business over the next few months that would make me feel like they can maybe not have the distractions of guys worrying about getting paid.
Right.
We'll see if they do that.
Yeah, okay.
And it's not just Dak Prescott. It's Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah, sure.
They got to get him taken care of, even though that's not a big deal.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.